I think we're in the best place we could be to lead. There's nothing more I want to do. I don't feel like we need more time. I think everything's bang on, and I think we're right where we need to be, and I can't wait.
Come on, Jack, work now. Keep your rack load on that lap. Fine.
Yeah, on the thing now.
We didn't do that half.
We'll start on the ground. You're going to enter, you're going to hit, you take that, or Jack's bum hits me.
This guy, like, don't let him give up the leg like that.
One more. And then we're going to have a break. 5. Push Jack. 3 go. Stop that.
All right, Jack.
So, for Prates to want to get up there, and he wants to call out a guy higher up on the card with him, he wants to call out a guy that had the opportunity that he had, and Prates doesn't go after Islam. But Prates might be able to look at the board and say, listen, Islam's got a skill set that I don't have, or he's got a skill set that I'm not yet ready for, or he's got a skill set I don't know how I would do. So let me get a common opponent. Let me get a hold of Jack. Let me juxtapose his performance and my performance. There's something about that that's very interesting. There's something about that that is very mature. From a guy that will get drunk and smoke cigarettes, there's something about that that's very mature. I would like Prates, and if he sees this, Prates, please respond. I would like him to go a step further. Why? Why do you want Jack? Is it a name? Is it a ranking? It's an elevation? Is it personal? Did something happen in the back? There's no wrong answer. I'm just curious what your answer is. Prates has called out Jack. Not an idea that any of the rest of us had. Not a fight that any of the rest of us were calling for. But why did he call him out? Prates, please respond. Why did you?
Jack Della Maddalena took the loss to Islam Makhachev, but if you think that slowed him down, you're reading this all wrong. Because what we're seeing now isn't a fighter trying to recover. It's a fighter recalibrating, refocusing, and coming back with a very different kind of urgency. This isn't about getting back in the win column. That part is surface level. What's really happening here is deeper than that. Every time JDM steps into the octagon now, there's a different edge to him. Not panic, not desperation. Something sharper, something more controlled, but also more dangerous. Because he knows what it feels like to fall short on the biggest stage. And fighters either break from that, or they come back more complete than ever. Now add Carlos Prates into the equation, A rising contender with real power, the kind that doesn't need volume to change a fight. One clean shot, and everything flips. That's the threat he brings. That's the danger he carries into every exchange.
Yeah.
Is there pressure coming off, like I asked as well, like coming off the Islam fight, and then you've now got to carry the card in Perth as well, so you've got kind of like two things to kind of avenge. Does it feel like that?
Not really. It honestly feels like any other fight. Maybe when it gets closer, there'll be more pressure, but at the moment I feel pretty calm, pretty cool. I feel like, I do feel like to myself, I've got a lot to prove. I wasn't happy with the performance, obviously, but no, actually, not really. It feels much harder to move forward.
And Carlos Prates, mate, like we said, main eventing the show, cigarettes versus the bong. How does it feel with going against Prates? That's a fight that is just fan-made, that's made for you. You know what I mean? That's what you want. Are you excited about this?
Yeah, I'm super excited. He's a fan favorite for good reason. You know, he's an exciting guy. I think it's a good fight. Yeah, good striking battle against two of the top sort of contenders. So I'm excited for the match. I feel like I've got the skills to beat him. I feel like I can outclass him. So excited for it.
Are you still one of the best in the world?
We'll find out. I believe so. But I think this May 2nd is going to show.
And it's exactly why this fight matters. Because this isn't just a return fight for JDM. It's a statement fight. A line in the sand. A moment where he either reasserts himself among the elite, or opens the door for someone new to take that spot. And Prates. He's not here to play the role of stepping stone. He's here to disrupt the entire picture. So what you've got here isn't just a matchup, it's a collision of intent. One fighter trying to prove he still belongs at the top. The other trying to prove he deserves to get there. And when the those two motivations collide inside the cage, you don't get a slow build-up. You get something immediate. Something tense. Something that feels like it could shift at any second. Coming off a loss like the one against Islam, most fighters carry pressure back into their next fight. You see it in their body language. You hear it in how they talk. But with Jack Della Maddalena, it's different, and that difference is what makes this situation so compelling. There's no panic here. No emotional overcorrection. No chasing redemption in a...
Could I ask, how did this fight come to you? How were you offered this fight? Was this the one that you were looking for?
As a lot of people was talking about me and my Conor McGregor, and I was like, without any opponent yet, signed the contract. And since my last fight, everybody knows I would love to fight JDM, I respect for him, but he's number one contender. So I thought like that fight make a lot of sense for me. So on the middle of a lot of people saying I would fight Conor, UFC come to me and ask me if I want to fight the main event against JDM, and I said,
reckless way. What you're seeing instead is a kind of calm that doesn't come from comfort. It comes from clarity. He knows exactly where he fell short. He knows exactly what didn't go his way. And more importantly, he's not running from it. That's a dangerous place for a fighter to be. Because when someone isn't distracted by outside noise, When they're not trying to prove something to critics or chase headlines, they become focused in a way that's hard to deal with. Everything tightens up. Every decision becomes sharper. Every movement has purpose. But don't mistake that.
Yeah.
Now I'm focused on JDM, and I can't wait to go to Australia and get my title shot.
I was just going to ask you about that. How do you feel about fighting JDM in his hometown?
It's okay, you know. Like I love Australia. No, my daughter is Australia. I like that country. Definitely, I feel home when I'm there. I went there in January, I think. Yeah, in January or this January, last January, I was there, and I met a lot of fans. People there are amazing. So I don't think about like to go to his house and fight with him. You know, at the end of the day, when the cage close, the door close, it's gonna be just me and JDM.
There's a level of comfort there. Familiarity. He spent time in that environment, connected with the fans, and built a sense of ease that most opponents wouldn't have walking into that situation. And that changes the dynamic more than people realize. Because when a fighter feels at home, even in someone else's arena, they fight freer, looser, more confident. And that's exactly how Prates is approaching this. Not as an outsider walking into hostile territory. But as a professional handling another stop on the journey. But here's the key point. None of that actually matters once the cage door closes. The noise fades. The crowd disappears. The location becomes irrelevant. And it all comes down to one thing: execution. At that point, it's just two fighters locked in, with nowhere to hide. No distractions. No outside influence. Just skill, timing, and decisions made in real time. And that's where this fight becomes what it really is. Not a home game, not an away game, but a pure test between two.
Now, while I'm sitting here and I'm praising this, I gotta tell you, if I have a magic wand, that's not the fight that I'm making. I haven't really ever found myself itching to see Prates versus Jack. I could be sold on it. There is something about that is kind of an anti-grappler 2 madman cage fight. But it is a very interesting one. It is interesting that Prates is calling him out, because Prates is on the very short list to be fighting next against Islam. In fact, if you look at the mandate of the masses, the people, you, are largely behind Prates.
Athletes trying to impose their will under pressure. From a competitive standpoint, this fight checks every box. And that's exactly why analysts like Chael Sonnen are paying attention. Because this isn't a setup. It's not a favorable matchup designed to protect someone's ranking. It's a calculated risk on both sides. There's no punching down here. No easy path being taken. When these two shared a card, JDM was the higher-ranked fighter. Now the tables have shifted into something far more interesting. A moment where both fighters...
I can't wait to watch you guys mix it up. Like, how do you feel his striking matches up with that of Jack's?
I feel like it's different, like stylistically. Obviously, like I said before, Carlos is very Thai style, whereas Jack's a more hybrid sort of boxing style. Also with good kicks, knees, etc., as we've seen him use. But yeah, it's different. I think Jack's a bit more of punches and bunches, combination puncher, whereas Carlos is a bit more devastating, one-shot power.
Winners have something real to gain and something real to lose. And that's what makes this kind of matchup matter. It's driven by merit, not marketing. By competition, not convenience. This is the kind of fight where you actually learn something about both fighters. Where skills are tested, adjustments are forced, and weaknesses can't be hidden. Because when two fighters meet at this point in their careers, both dangerous, both motivated, both aware of what's at stake, you don't get a safe fight. You get a revealing one. Even with all that said, not everyone immediately fell in love with this matchup, and that honesty adds another layer to the conversation.
Puncher. People are going to be, wondering whether or not you guys even think about taking this to the ground. Obviously, for Carlos, that's his weakness. We've seen him struggle when people take him down. This is MMA at the end of the day, and although you guys are devastating strikers, that might be one of the options in the game plan as things sort of play out.
Yeah, it's MMA. Like, you can't rule out the fact that takedowns might come into play from both sides. But we've spent the last 3 years preparing for grapplers. So the fact that we get to prepare for a striker who is unlikely to hit Jack's hips, he might, and it would be smart for them to use that game plan. But we're pretty confident that Carlos is going to come for a stand-up fight, and our camp is working towards a predominantly stand-up fight. We're looking forward to a stand-up fight. We're looking forward to giving Jack a slightly different camp than the last three he's had prepared for Gilbert, Bilal, and Islam. So, look, definitely wrestling could be involved from either side, but I see a fan-friendly.
For the last few years, the focus has been on preparing for grapplers, tightening up defense, building awareness, closing gaps. Now, facing someone like Prates, the approach shifts slightly. Less emphasis on defending takedowns, more emphasis on sharpening what already works. That doesn't mean overlooking anything. It means optimizing for what's most likely. And in this case, that's a stand-up fight where both men get to showcase their strengths. And if that's what it turns into, a high-level striking exchange, then you're looking at the kind of fight fans actually want. Fast.
But this is what I'm talking about. This is a strong fight night main event. Number 1 in the world, JDM. Number 5 in the world, Carlos Prates. I respect to JDM, even though he's the one who lost the Makhachev fight. I know he took 0 damage over 5 rounds. He's the one who's stepping back in there first. That's the fighters that we love, man. We're seeing this with Chimaev right now, where we're still waiting for him to do something. I wouldn't be surprised if Duplessis is back in there before him. He probably will be. And we see this with Carlos Prates as well, When you consider that he lost to Ian Gary and then Ian Gary fought Bilal, Prates has completely rebuilt himself into another number 1.
Paced, technical, dangerous at every moment. When analysts start breaking this fight down, one thing becomes clear very quickly. There's no easy prediction here. Even those leaning one way admit how close this really is. Some see an edge for Carlos Prates, pointing to subtle details in his striking, timing, precision, the ability to exploit openings that others might miss. Performances against high-level opponents have shown that even elite fighters...
Well, he floats around, he's very confident. So I'm leaning towards Prates, but this is a very close fight, and I could be swayed towards JDM upon rewatching Prates versus Ian Gary, because Gary really did show him levels in the striking, and sometimes that's how it is. Sometimes these guys knock a bunch of people out, they do good against certain opponents, and then that level of striking just gets shown to him, and all of a sudden none of their shit's working anymore. So, I'm going to lean towards Prates, but it's a very interesting matchup.
Look can be challenged if the right vulnerabilities are exposed. But here's the catch. Look a little closer, and that same argument can swing right back toward JDM. Because for every strength Prates brings, there's a counter waiting on the other side. And that's what makes this fight so intriguing. It's not one-sided. It's not predictable. It's a matchup where small details, timing, positioning, decision-making, can completely shift the outcome. Which means when the fight actually plays out, don't expect a clear pattern early. Expect adjustments. Expect momentum swings. Expect a fight that stays competitive from start to finish. momentum. And when the stakes look like that, when the paths are this clearly defined, you don't get a quiet fight. You get something that matters. Now the only thing left is to watch it play out and see who rises when it counts.